Yesterday, Mary Kay Cabot, friend of the program, Cleveland.com's Hall of Fame beat writer for the Cleveland Cavaliers, was on her podcast, the Orange and Brown Report, and gave an opinion, an observation on one Deshaun Watson and how he looked at the end of the Browns minicamp session. This is what Mary Kay had to say about Deshaun Watson. Quote, I think he needs to get some proper rest over the break because I thought his arm seemed to tail off a little. Maybe he's got the slightest bit of fatigue in his surgically repaired shoulder, end quote. That was Mary Kay on Wednesday. Zach, you alluded me to the fact this morning that Mary Kay was asked about this either on the radio, on a podcast, I'm not sure where, but she gave some more context and or some clarity on what she may have meant.
She was on the morning show on 92.3, and she made it clear she was speculating. She was basically pointing out that she thought he was not as consistent, and he certainly didn't throw the ball as impressively later. And so she made it clear that she was speculating, and she kind of hinted that she had gotten some backlash from a comment she made on a summer podcast, which will happen. So look, until Deshaun Watson convinces everybody that his body's not broken, then everybody's going to think that. And continually, we're going to look at, say, logically, there's no reason for the Browns to think that Deshaun Watson can give him anything because in 4 years, he hasn't given him much. But, the last time he was involved in football activities, he was coming back from a major shoulder injury and was guided through. I don't think it was the injury that was the problem. I don't think it's the injury that's the problem now. But yeah, you look at, they had 13 practices in a pretty short window. Now they're going to have 13 practices in 18 days, starting in 3 weeks. So I think it's something we'll look at, but I don't think that it was a direct one-to-one, line-to-line thing here where the team or Team Watson is saying that this is an issue. Just from your own personal observations, did you think you saw any fatigue in his shoulder from when it started to when minicamp ended? We saw him become the quarterback that he's been. But I never once saw him come off and grab the arm, get treated, anything like that. We saw a pretty consistent schedule where we saw one of the 3 OTAs per week as reporters, and then in minicamp, we were allowed to see all 3 practices. But I didn't see any sitting out of drills, any getting work done, anything like that.
I think more than anything, I don't think it's the injuries. Now, injuries play a role because I remember tell everybody Kenny Pickett was leading in the clubhouse, and then he pulled his hamstring, and we didn't see him no more
on the 4th day.
Yeah,
so it changed,
and it was just like we just didn't see him ever, no more. So when you're talking about multiple Achilles and an ACL and a shoulder and these different things, those things take a toll on yourself. Now, to be in a quarterback competition, and I remember even myself, is when you're working your way back, there's already built-in days where they giving you rest. These are built-in, hey, so-and-so's G. Bush not out here because he's getting treatment. We trying to work on some swelling. It was already built in. You can't do that if you in a battle. No. You got to. That's just what it is. You got to be out there. So
Pickett went from the favorite to getting traded because he couldn't participate in the battle.
You got to be available. Now, for me, I think more than anything, I ain't even gonna say it's the injuries. Man, it's the 4 years. He's in 4 years. He's played a handful of games with at the most difficult position to even talk about. From processing to footwork to ball placement, to timing and rhythm with, reading coverages, all this stuff. And he's played a handful of games. Now, mind you, guys are getting younger. Game speeds up. I remember the first time I went back and started watching college football, and it dawned on me maybe 4 years out that the new people was playing at a completely different speed than I was. Mm-hmm. Like I said, these dudes is fast. Linebackers, everybody was fast. Everybody was quicker. And so that's why when somebody says, right, the quarterback competition, what are we doing here? I'm like, no, you have to see it because you don't want to coddle and be like, okay, he looked great in shorts and then give somebody the role. And then you get into, the heat of battle and you're looking around and all of a sudden it don't look the same. No. That's why you need to see it in the speed of the game. I think that's just what it is.
I'm not saying this is what happened, but I think a very logical way to look at the last 8 months as this thing has kind of set up is that Todd Monken came in and looked the last time Deshaun Watson had played, played well, Todd Monken was on the other side.
14 of 14.
And here was Deshaun Watson coming in a full year off his second surgery, healthy, hungry, motivated, fresh, all of these things. And it's like Todd Monken's thinking, I'm here to win games. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give this guy a shot. And then he got up there and started playing, and it's like, well, maybe it's not fully fresh, healthy, motivated. And you're right. In full fairness to Deshaun, like, I don't care if you're a mediocre quarterback, pretty good quarterback, or great. You got to play a quarterback.
You have to.
And he didn't play it at all for a year, over a year. He got back on the practice field for 3 weeks, so yes, he did his training. But he has not played in a game since October of 24.
Lots changed.
Sheesh.
And so to be at the top of your game, you have to be doing it all the time. It doesn't have to be every ball on the money. It doesn't have to be every game or every practice is great, but you have to be doing it all the time. And he hasn't been doing it at all.
No. I wasn't at any of the minicamp OTAs practices. They happened during the show, which is why we're not able to get out there. So I'm just going off what Mary Kay said, what you have said. And whether his arm fatigued or not, the fact that this is even a conversation in the beginning of July before training camp opens up tells me that the Browns have one and one option only at quarterback, and that's Shedeur Sanders. Because if Mary Kay and her vision and observation of the fatigue is real, the fact that she's even mentioning it means she saw something. Watson said he was 100% healthy. Fatigue doesn't necessarily count as an injury. He's not saying he's lying. I don't know the truth. All I know is in minicamp, Zach, answer me yes or no. Can quarterbacks get hit?
No.
Are quarterbacks facing live pressure?
No.
Are quarterbacks making a ton of throws that they wouldn't normally make at any other time?
No, not really.
There's no reason for his shoulder to be fatigued in minicamp. So what happens when training camp happens? And there's more of a competition. There's more emphasis on the accuracy and the zip and the ability to fit things into tight windows. And then we get to preseason where guess what? You can get hit. And then you look at his track record with the 2 Achilles tears, with an ACL tear back in Houston, with the weird shoulder injury that there's never been a precedent for in the NFL. And you add all that together, and I'm thinking to myself saying, there's not a chance in hell this guy is going to be healthy enough to survive an entire season, rather less maybe 1 or 2 games of an NFL season. And if that's the outcome, if Deshaun's body, for a million different reasons, just simply isn't able to stand up and hold up during the rigors of an NFL season, then just play Shedeur, see what you got, and then make a determination at the end of the 2026 season whether or not he's the quarterback moving forward or whether you have to go out and draft or find another one. There's no benefit to playing Deshaun Watson if he can't stay healthy. And if we're even having remote discussions on him showing shoulder fatigue in a situation where he should be the most fresh he is all season, then where are we going to be at in September after a game where this remade offensive line may or may not be able to protect him to the level that's needed? Where are we going to be at in October? There's no way that ends well. There's no way. Maybe 0.000000001% chance. And if that's the case, wrists up, play Shedeur. What are we waiting for?
I tell you what, it played out exactly the way Todd Monken wants it to play out. Behind closed doors is like this, man. There's no downside to saying, okay, well, this is a competition, because guess what you want? You want Shedeur Sanders to be here. You want Deshaun Watson to be here. You want Shedeur Sanders to be looking at the playbook constantly. You want him to be thinking somebody's behind him. Somebody is coming to get his job. Matter of fact, you want all of that. It only works out for the best because you're only going to get the best out of the 2 players, so it works. But when you look at it and you look at the body of work and you're saying, okay, how likely is it that this guy is going to play at this level and can sustain it consistently, when even when we was watching it a couple of years ago, there would be before the games where there was a few games where it was like, oh, we don't know if Deshaun's going to.
That's right. There was the shoulder issue before the shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just like, oh, DTR is going to play today. And you're like, well, hold it. When did you know? Oh, we didn't know until Deshaun showed up for the game. I said, well, hold on. What you mean? You didn't know? You didn't. Then there was he left the game against, I believe it was the Colts. And they kind of had PJ Walker.
Oh, yeah, PJ. Yeah.
I see, people be forgetting. Like, people say, you love Shedeur. I said, bro, I'm the one who said Deshaun Watson was going to have 4,500.
Mr. 45.
So when I kept seeing it, like, oh, I don't know if this going to work, because people forget he missed an entire year. And they told him he couldn't be in the facility. They're like, no, you're going to miss 11 games and you're not going to be in the facility. After missing a year prior to that, I think where life happened was there. That's a year and a half of not playing, given all the other stuff that mentally happened with all of the court stuff. I think that's where even the most consistent people who supported Deshaun Watson was like, yeah, this might be a problem. This might be a problem.
Take a year off of anything.
Yeah.
Golf, basketball, podcasting, writing, painting, drawing, playing an instrument, and then try to pick it up and try to go back to the level you thought you were when you last touched it. And after a year, you're going to be rusty. Gee, I know the new college football game comes out this morning.
Man, I already had it.
You got the deluxe.
I got the early deluxe, and it's cool. I've been getting smoked.
But my point is, I'm probably going to get it. I haven't played 26 in 6 months. The first time I pick it up, probably going to get smoked.
Controls all different.
Just rusty.
The controls different. They done changed all the dynasty, all your tricks. They swap out the money plays every year. It's a couple of routes that work every year.
Yeah,
I'm like, where my money plays at?
And that's what Deshaun's walking back into.
Yeah.
And it's not just new controls, it's a new playbook.
Yeah.
It's a new coach. It's a new philosophy. It's a new system. It's a new team. And after a year off, it's not going to be a seamless transition back in. Everything has changed. And we're going to see if Deshaun can adapt and adjust to fit what they need, all while trying to stay healthy, recovering from 2 debilitating Achilles injuries and a shoulder injury that no quarterbacks ever dealt with before.
12 starting quarterbacks over 3 seasons, and Kenny Pickett made it to the 4th day. No, I think only Jason Lloyd and Kenny Pickett's parents think that he was really the favorite. But he was first in line.
He was.
And he made it to the 4th day. And he actually did it, making a good play at the end of practice. And then he did not have a full practice again. He was traded.
It was a red zone scramble touchdown.
I remember standing there at that practice being like, dang, man, Kenny Pickett out here running around like he mobile. And then I was like, yeah, they was like, right. Kevin's like, yeah, he tweaked.
So it's like, what's going on? What's the mindset? Why don't they get rid of Dylan Gabriel? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But you have a guy that hasn't played and has this history and has to put himself to the max to try to win the job. Like, this is why, even if there is no shoulder fatigue, this is why I thought they needed to go. And they would have, if they were trying to win this year, they would have added another flyer quarterback, because Deshaun is not a realistic possibility. And I keep saying it, whether you think Shedeur has a 70% chance or a 10% chance, he's got a chance. He's under contract. He needs more seasoning. He needs more development. But Deshaun cannot be counted on. He just can't be. So why didn't they go get someone else along the way? Because you know that Dylan Gabriel's not a starter, and you know that Taylor Green's years away. The reason is you're not trying to win this year.
The idea of Deshaun with the 2 Achilles and the shoulder, and I don't think we ever gave the shoulder enough, I'm going to say credit, but that's not the right word, enough recognition.
Or you didn't acknowledge
the fact that how unique, this wasn't a normal football injury where people have a track record of coming back on, where we have a precedent of players coming back with. It's a baseball injury. He's a football player. There is no other quarterback, to my knowledge, and Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, but no other quarterback has had that same procedure.
Everybody kept looking.
And recovered from it. And it's not like Deshaun's arm after the first shoulder injury, not the one that caused surgery. It's not like he had a Josh Allen rocket attached to his right shoulder. There was already question about his arm strength, his ability to push the ball downfield before he got this surgery. Now we're banking on it being better after a surgery when his base is compromised due to the fact that he's torn his Achilles twice.
There's there's a lot of interesting things about this camp, but what's really interesting to me, the schedule came out, there's only 1 joint practice with the Bills, and it's at the end of the 4th week. So, like, that means Todd Monken's going to be press and go on these guys. And you're not hitting your own QBs in practice, but, like, we're not going to be having multiple days of just jog through practice, just install some new red zone stuff.
No.
Like, there's going to be, let's go at it. These guys got to get live reps, different situations, and go, because you're not going to see. I mean, they didn't work out getting a joint practice with the Bears. So at most you're getting a quarter apiece for these guys in the first preseason game. Then you get 3 more days of practice back at home, 1 day versus the Bills, and then another preseason game. And then you're at the end. So you have to make your decision.
And you know the crazy.
I didn't think of it like that.
Man, now
you still have 3 weeks.
Yeah.
From the day after the Bills preseason game is exactly 3 weeks until the opener.
Yeah.
So and these guys have been here, and Deshaun even last year wasn't on the team, but he was in the building. So but that is kind of your drop dead date. Thursday, August 20th, joint practice Bills. Saturday, August 22nd at the stadium versus the Bills. What's it going to look like? We don't know. There's a new coach, and we don't know what the circumstances will be. But if they're both healthy, and if the competition remains a real competition into the second week, then that's when you have to have it resolved by weeks 2 and 4. And at the end of week are the 2 highlight days.
I think he may use this as a separating tool. I think usually when new coaches come in, I remember having to stay in college because I tore my ACL. New coach came in and it was like, oh, we ain't giving days off. And Todd Monken was just like, oh no, what about veteran days and work? He said, no.
You're playing.
You're going to play. So that can be a separating factor in it itself, like by saying, hey, listen, man, you got to be able to make it out here. So I'll be interested to see if what the injuries look like and whether or not he can make it through training camp. That's a big part of it.
We're close. Training camp less than 3 weeks away, right, Zach?
3 weeks from yesterday, first full practice.
3 weeks from
July
yesterday.
29th.
And then all the fun begins. How excited are you, guys? The smile on Zach's face says it all.
Excited.